new season of budgeting, that our leaders and staff would be granted wisdom and insight into your plan for our city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. At this time, we have a proclamation and a presentation to Keep Corinth Beautiful, recognizing as a Gold Star affiliate of Keep Texas Beautiful. And I have this little proclamation to read. In 2004, Keep Texas Beautiful introduced the concept of Gold Star recognition to reward those communities who sought to go above and beyond the established requirements to remain in good standing with KTB. Community affiliates must submit reports, pay dues, attend training, and participate in KTB-endorsed events. To achieve Gold Star status, affiliates must share information on their mission and goals, answer questions about the economic development and the diversity and inclusion practices, or participate in the Beautify Texas Awards or Governor's Community Achievement Awards programs, and provide a letter of support from their community. In June, during the 54th annual conference, Keep Corinth Beautiful Keep Texas Beautiful recognized Keep Corinth Beautiful as a Gold Star affiliate, a designation granted to only 70 affiliates of KTB's nearly 300 affiliates. Gold Star recognition is the highest recognition any community affiliate can achieve. Board members have documented almost 500 hours of volunteer work since October 2020. Their most recent project is creating an educational place at the Butterfly Garden in Community Park. With the vision of the board and the assistance from the Denton County Master Gardeners, volunteers, and sponsorship from CoServe, KCB is recreating the area. KCB has also intervened Corinth's Adopt a Spot program. Participation from 12 residents organizations with 47 volunteers have adopted 16.33 miles of roadway and 5 city parks. On November 13th, KCB will again collaborate with the Lake Cities, hosting its 3rd annual Lake Cities Recycle Trash Off event from 9 a.m. till noon in the parking lot at NCTC. This time I'd like to have At this time, would the recipients please come forward, and we'll present you with a plaque. Okay?
How are you?
Good. How are you doing? Good. Come on over here. Get in the picture. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank
you. You want to say anything? You have the podium.
Just as always, we have a really great board. It wouldn't be possible with them. We get a lot of support from the city staff and public works department. None of this would be possible without the support from the amazing staff that we have. Lana has been, as y'all know, amazing as always. Public works has done a lot of help for us, especially out at the Butterfly Garden. It's a really fun board. We have a lot of really fun projects, and we're really excited to see everything that we're going to be able to, do over the next couple of years. And absolutely the support from the city manager. Bob, thank you so much, because none of this would be possible if we didn't have his blessing through all of it. So thank you, everybody. It's really, really great. Y'all want to say anything? Megan's rocked the Adopt a Spot program.
This is your chance.
She's done amazing on that. She's taken it from a completely inactive program to, I think, we just had to reorder more signs. I think we're up to like 20 something. Just absolutely amazing work, and it's great to see the community come together and get involved, and to go out there and do the work and want to continue to come back and volunteer more with us. And that's really what it's all about, bringing the community together and just good stuff like that. But thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amanda.
If you haven't been down to that area where they have the Butterfly Park, it's worth your time to go down there and see it, because they've done a very nice job of edging it and getting it all set up. They got all the, they've had a lot of donations as far as trees and flowers and things like that, and it's all marked down there. So it can be a good educational area for their students and for the children of the community. So thank you again for all that you do. Okay, citizens' comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Comments about any of the council agenda items are appreciated by the council and may be taken into consideration at this time or during that agenda item. Council is prohibited from acting on or discussing items brought before them at this time. Ms. Wiley?
We don't have anybody in the council chambers, but I've just checked with Brenton, and so I'm not real sure yet.
Okay, is there anybody online?
They're online.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. Should the mayor or a council member desire discussion of any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. I entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Any further discussion? Cast your vote. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Henderson. Okay. Business agenda. Consider and act upon an alternative compliance tree preservation application for the removal of protected trees, 6+ caliber inches, including the replanting and payment of fee in lieu of replanting of mitigation trees located on 82.92 acres within the Ashford Park residential subdivision, consisting of 455 residential lots and numerous commons open space lots generally located north of Lake Sharon Drive at the terminus of Park Ridge Drive and south of Valley View Drive, west of North Corinth Street, east of Evans Road, and south of Church Drive. AC 21-008, Ashford Park Alternative Compliance Tree Preservation. Mr. Hart.
Excuse me. Mayor and Council, I'd like to have our planner, Miguel Enklin, to come and lay out this item for you.
I read 5, but
okay, but we can do 5, and then we'll flip it. And
public hearing.
They were switching the PowerPoints.
Oh, okay.
I didn't catch it.
I think we're ready to go. Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Miguel Inclán, planner here with the City of Corinth. Before you is an alternative compliance request for tree preservation for the Ashford Park residential development on Lake Sharon Drive. I promise I'll be brief. Here you can see the map. It's located north of the intersection of Lake Sharon Drive and Park Ridge Drive. It's 82.96 acres. Prior approvals include the PD zoning and the preliminary plat that is subject to conditions. This project is going to have 455 residential lots. The prior past practice of applying exemptions in a blanket manner do not apply to this site. This project is intended to be the very first in the new ordinance concepts for the upcoming tree ordinance revisions. There's a system of mitigation credits and additional preservation intended to work in the future as incentives for incorporating protected trees and open space into the overall site development. Just a bit of a summary. This is merely a formality. We, as staff, have been negotiating with the applicant for some time now, ever since the zoning case was brought before this body, to preserve as many trees as possible and make sure that there was a balance of mitigation for the trees that they did remove. Initially, the applicant proposed to save 0 trees at the site and required exemptions to do what was previously done, but there will be a preservation of approximately 280 trees in concentrated groves throughout the site. So we went from 0 to 280 trees. Here's just a little bit of a summary very quickly. There's 20,000 caliper inches of trees. They are preserving about 15% of that. They're removing 17,000. There have been credits offered. As we said, it was a negotiation based on some of the factors, mitigating factors. Overall, they need to mitigate for 906 caliper inches and pay a fee, or they're offering to pay a fee in lieu of $135,903 at a rate of $150 per caliper inch. And here you can see how the credits were calculated. As you can see, there are preservation credits for preserving. We decided to give them, bonus for that. Right-of-way for the new roads and trails that they're laying out. Landscaping, they're planting additional trees, additional to the required landscaping. Here's just a little bit of what they're preserving at the site. If you can follow my mouse, I'm having a little bit of a hard time, but the trees that appear grayed out are the trees that are going to be preserved. The developer gave up about 9 developable lots that were originally envisioned to be residential lots for sale for the purpose of preserving these groves of trees. A lot of the trees are also going to be preserved in the area where they eventually intend to build an amenity center, but they will work around the preserved trees. And then the trees here in green are new mitigation trees, which are separate from the landscaping trees that are here in white. So they're adding an additional tree in the backyard area of almost every of the larger lots, and then some along the street for the smaller cottage lots. The important thing to note is that the trees that are going to be preserved in those open space lots, the city is going to mandate that the CCNRs for that subdivision preserve those trees forever. We will not allow a future HOA board for any reason to decide, hey, we don't want those trees. No, this was part of the zoning approval for this development. The open space lots will have plenty of mitigation trees, including in the detention basin. These will be planted by the developer. The builder of the residential lots, which is really the same, will be planting additional trees in the rear yards, and then the cottage home lots by the builder along the front of the smaller lots. In total, there will be 499 replacement trees. Staff is recommending approval as presented, subject to the following 4 conditions: that a minimum 15.34% of total protected caliper inches are to be preserved, as shown on the tree survey and preservation plan within the deeded common open space lots, with any protected tree being negatively impacted during the site grading or construction mitigated at a rate of 1:1 per caliper inch. The purposeful removal of destruction of preserved trees shall constitute a violation of our zoning approval in this alternative compliance action. 2, prior to release for grading, that a pre-grading conference and tailgate shall be held at the site with staff to ensure that tree protection measures are following best practices. The required fencing for protective fencing shall be around the drip line and shall not be moved or adjusted to accommodate for any of the grading or site improvements. The protected tree shall be perpetually preserved and cared for by the developer or HOA as outlined in the provisions of our zoning, with specific maintenance language to be defined in the covenants, conditions, and restrictions and recorded prior to the final plat of phase 1. And that the payment of fee in lieu of proposed of $135,903 shall be paid in full prior to final plat recording of phase 1, as the applicant is proposing mass grading of the entire site during the initial phase of development. And I think that's about it. I would really like to commend our developer, our applicant, Meritage. They've really worked very well with prior staff, Michelle, who just left the city, but they worked very hard to ensure a balanced approach to incorporate existing tree stock into their development. And my background is from the hill country. I haven't even seen that over there, so I'm really happy that I think our city's moving in a positive direction in terms of tree preservation for new development.
Are there any questions from council?
I do, Mayor, if I may. Do the CC&Rs include homeowner cutting down trees in the future?
So, not within individual lots. That is addressed through an ordinance. Our goal of incorporating the tree preservation in the CCRs was to preserve those open space lots that will be deeded to the HOA. We're working on amending the ordinance, but there will be exemptions granted to single-family homeowners for tree removal, and we can touch on that at that time when we bring the ordinance before you.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm sorry. Miguel, the one slide that you had the, one more, I think, with the amenity center, like, those trees won't continue to be preserved when they're going to move dirt to put an amenity center on there, correct?
My understanding is they will work around those trees, but we are requesting if for some reason those trees need to be removed, they need to mitigate at a 1-to-1 ratio.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Thank you very much. I appreciate your presentation. This time I'd consider a motion on this item.
Mayor, I'd move that the application be approved with the 4 conditions articulated by staff, subject to those 4 conditions articulated by staff.
I second.
Any further discussion? Cast your vote. It's unanimous. Item number 6, consider and act upon the... number 4, okay. Consider and act on a resolution of the City Council of the City of Corinth, Texas, approving a negotiated settlement between the Atmos Cities Steering Committee, ACSC, and Atmos Energy Corporation, Midtech Division, regarding the company's 2021 rate review mechanism, filing, declaring existing rates to be unreasonably, adopting tariffs and that reflect rate adjustments consistent with the negotiated settlement, finding the rates to be set by the attached settlement tariffs to be just and reasonable and in the public interest, approving any attached exhibit establishing a benchmark for pensions and retirement medical benefits, approving an attachment exhibit regarding amortization of regulatory liability, requiring the company to reimburse ACSC reasonable rate-making expenses, determined that...
I'm sorry, I don't know. Here's number 4 right here. It's on the tree.
This is the agenda you gave me.
Okay, let me look. I'm sorry.
Okay, is that the wrong one? I guess that's...
Oh, this was number 4 on consent.
Yeah, but I don't have this.
We don't have that. No, it's here as number 6. It's here as number 6. Okay. Well,
What?
yeah, No. Which one? I just did. It's this one right here. I see what's going on. Here it is here. I don't know. This is,
It may have been when we reordered it.
yeah.
This is the right order, so number 4 is this. Number 5 is the one that we just did. And then we have the Lake Dallas Police Department. We have the KCB, and then, you know.
That's the one.
we had to have
Where
reordered
what
this.
happened was, this is number 4. This is number 5. And 6 and 7.
So,
Okay.
number 4, number 5, number 6 is
Number 7.
no, number. If you read it off of this, I promise this is the right order.
Okay,
We
so I
gave
just
you-
go back to 4?
We gave you a bad, don't read this at all. Read this. You're doing number 4, we've already done number 5, and then you go 6 and
Okay.
8. I'm sorry.
All right. There was a little bit of confusion here. I'm reading from a different agenda than what the current agenda is, so. We go back to scratch that last comment about Atmos. That was part of the consent agenda. And now we'll go to item number 4. Consider and act upon the alternative compliance application for tree preservation for a single-family residential lot on .56 acres located at 2205 Pennell Court in the bluff at Pennell Point subdivision. Pennell Court, AC 21-0012. Mr. Hart.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we'd like to have our planner, Miguel Inklin, to lay out this item for you.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, once again, Miguel Inclán, planner. I bring before you probably the most straightforward tree preservation we'll ever have to deal with. This is for a residential, single-family residence at 2205 Pennell Court in the southern part of the city, just off of Post Oak Trail in Serendipity Hills, that area. The Bluffs at Pennell Point, I'm sorry. It's a 0.56 acre site. It's a platted but undeveloped single-family lot with a PD 29 zoning, and the request is for alternative compliance for tree preservation. As you can see, the site is very heavily wooded, but that will not really be a factor in our discussion. The prior past practice was to grant exemptions for right-of-way, utility easements, driveways, and the building footprint plus a 5-foot buffer. Under this practice, 39 protected trees will be exempt from replacement, which is really what the applicant is removing only. There's a 79% canopy coverage. The request is to remove 39 protected trees for a total of 315 caliper inches and preserve 45 protected trees for a total of 371.4 caliper inches. Because the removed trees are located in areas proposed for exemption, no mitigation is being proposed. Here is the tree survey with the proposed footprint of the residence. As you can see, all of the trees marked in red for removal fall within the areas proposed for exemption. The building footprint plus a 5-foot buffer, the driveway, and easements along the property line and in the rear. All other trees at the site are required to be preserved as per the applicant. And looks like it froze. Okay. So staff recommends that the trees removed from the building footprint plus 5 feet. The driveway and easements be exempt from mitigation. We do request the flexibility to administratively address additional tree removal as may be required during the construction phase with a removal cost of $70 per caliber inch. Please note that the remaining trees are separate from landscape regulations of our UDC, which require the planting of 14 caliper inches of new trees. Those landscape regulations will be addressed during the building permit process. Staff recommends approval of the application as presented, authorizing the removal of protected trees and granting the recommended exemptions as outlined in the staff report, the accompanying tree preservation plan, and alternative compliance worksheet. And here's a motion.
Are there any questions from council? Okay, I'd entertain a motion on this item. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the alternative compliance application as presented and authorizing the removal of protected trees and granting the recommended exemptions as outlined in this report, the accompanying tree preservation plan, and alternative compliance worksheet.
I second.
Any further discussion? Cast your vote. It's unanimous. Okay, item number 6, consider an act on interlocal agreement with the City of Lake Dallas for police service. Mr. Hart.
Okay, Mayor and Council, I'd like to have our Chief, Jerry Garner, to lay out this item for you.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I'll try and be pretty brief with a summary of this because I know you've seen the interlocal agreement. You've talked about the interlocal agreement. Basically, what the overarching purpose of this is to improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of 2 police departments, the Lake Dallas Police Department and the Corinth Police Department. The interlocal agreement would allow for a 12-month trial period, a study period, if you will, for us to combine, kind of erase the jurisdictional lines that are between us now so that we could respond to calls in their jurisdiction, we could take enforcement action in their jurisdiction, write tickets, et cetera, and they could do the same thing in ours. Now, during that period, we would be cooperating, but there wouldn't be a permanent union. In other words, they would have the same shoulder patches, the same badges, the same car markings that they have right now, and the same thing for us, because this would be a study period to see if this would work out long term. Now, as you know, we already assist each other in emergencies. We've done that for a very long time. We have a mutual aid agreement that dates back to 1987. But what this would allow us to do is assist each other on more routine types of calls. And this could have, as an example, an impact on customer service. Let's say, for example, right now, if Lake Dallas gets a call of a cold burglary. In other words, it happened during the night. It's now 10 o'clock in the morning. There's no bad guy there. But their cars are all tied up. Right now, that call would sit until one of their officers gets free. And that could be a while. Same for us. It could be a while. And then he'd go. And that's not the greatest customer service in the world. So this would allow us to send a car over into Lake Dallas to take that report. And the same thing would work the other way if we were all tied up in Corinth and they had cars available. Now, as part of the agreement, the Corinth police chief would be the interim chief for Lake Dallas during this 12-month period. Lake Dallas would pay the city of Corinth $75,000 towards the chief's salary and benefits. What would fall on Corinth is to commission a study, if you will, of what's going on as far as workload analysis. How do you deploy your people right now? How many people do you got? Do you need more? Do you need less? How many accidents? What's the crime? To try and make this, if this works out as a permanent union, how to make it work as smoothly as possible. So Corinth would be responsible for paying for that. They would be whoever the folks were that we hired to do it, they would be required to do a written report to us by July 1st of 2022. Hopefully it'd be earlier so you could use it, but by that time for sure. Now, during this 12-month period, either city could cancel this with 60 days notice to the other party. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem to be working for any reason, no reason. You can just cancel it and you'd be out of it. As we're working to put this together, and the command staff at our department, our police department, my captains and I, have been working with the leadership over at Lake Dallas PD, and I'm extremely impressed with the caliber of leadership that they have over there. And we've started working out some of the details that you have to put together if we're to work as one department. There's all kinds of little things you have to work on. Some of the benefits, though, are we're already on the same radio system, which the county dispatches for us. We're on the same record system, which is handled, again, through Denton County. In looking at our policies and procedures, they're very similar. We're a best practices department. They're working to be a best practices department. And when you lay their policies and procedures next to ours, they're awfully similar. So it's not going to be a big thing to put those agencies together. Now, what we're looking at as far as goals of this merger, improved officer safety, for one thing. Officer safety, you have more people on the street, you have more likelihood of getting a backup if you need one, so officer safety we think will benefit. We think you'll get better customer service in both cities. I just talked about an example of we can hopefully get you service more quickly. We think it'll help us with officer retention, because one of the things when we lose an officer, either department right now, often it's not because of pay, it's because the officer wants more opportunities. He wants to go to a bigger department where I can be a canine handler, or I can be a drug cop, or I can be a traffic officer. By combining the departments, we still won't be huge, but we'll have a little better opportunity for some of those special assignments that cops like to have, something that I can do besides be a patrol officer for my whole career. So we think that will help as well. And then we believe there'll be, hopefully, cost savings involved in this. If we find out through this study that, hey, we need maybe less cops over here than we thought we would need, instead of me having to hire more cops, we're not going to have to do that now. We may be able to change our deployment a little bit, and we won't have to add additional people to the department. So that's something we want to look at as well. Lake Dallas has already approved the ILA, the agreement. That happened a couple of weeks ago, and I got to do a presentation to them. So now it comes to our council. Our intention, just kind of in summary, is to put our two departments together on this year's study so that we can work together well and smoothly, but not to tangle us so tight that if either city or both cities decide, no, we don't really want to do this, it won't be a big mess to get us untangled. In other words, it wouldn't be as if you were repainting all the police cars or something like that. So we'll be able to get apart if we have to, if that's what our elected bodies decide. But our goal from both departments, and I've had some good conversations over at City of Lake Dallas, our goal is to make this work well so that we'll both be more effective departments, we'll be more efficient departments, it will work better. That's the goal, to make this work. And our staff recommends to you that the ILA be approved. And Mr. Mayor, if you have any questions for me, I'll do my best to answer them.
Is there any question from council?
Quick question. The $75,000 that they're paying us, if either party decides to separate, I'm assuming that we would have already paid a portion, if not all of that, to the group that's helping us.
Yes.
Is that prorated, or is the $75,000?
There's specific language in the agreement on how far along you've gone with the union before it breaks up, as far as how much each side has to pay.
Right.
And that's I don't have the details at the tip of my tongue here, but prorated would be a good name that I would use.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, it's prorated, from a salary standpoint, but we would be made whole on the study. And Chief, could you also maybe expand a little bit, because we already contract with Shady Shores, maybe a little bit of your insight of some of your conversations with Shady Shores and how you would include them in all of this.
Right. And there's when you look at the ILA, there's a sentence in there that says we would need to make either an amendment to our existing agreement or another agreement with Shady Shores that allows Lake Dallas to police in their jurisdiction as well. That's not in there right now. We do police service in Shady Shores. But having talked to their city manager, they're very supportive of what we're trying to do here. One of the things I've talked about with them is, and all of you are familiar with the geography, there's a corner of Shady Shores that really it's more convenient for Lake Dallas police cars to get in there than it is for us. So this could be a benefit to them to see an additional police presence too. It'd just be a different color car than maybe the one they're seeing right now. So I don't see any problem with getting that little touch, if you will, made to the contract, the agreement with Shady Shores that would allow them, Lake Dallas, to write tickets or make arrests or take reports out there. I don't see that being a difficulty.
Any other questions from the council?
I have several. I've noticed in this agreement on number 3, it says that as needed, the personnel and equipment of each city's police department shall be integrated and used jointly. And I went to the Lake Dallas meeting when they voted on this, and I was thinking that they talked about all the equipment would be separate, that nothing was going to be integrated with equipment.
Right. Initially, during this trial period, we would keep and maintain our equipment, whether it be less lethal weapons or cars or radar or whatever, all during this study period, we would keep and maintain all our own stuff, and they would keep their own stuff.
But in this agreement, number C says that it shall be integrated
Well, we'll
and used jointly.
Yes, ma'am. We can use each other's stuff if that becomes necessary. But in other words, if we have some entry tools that they need to use, we can loan them. But we'll still be buying stuff and replacing stuff that belongs to the city of Corinth during this study, and they'll still own all their stuff. We're each carefully inventorying what belongs to each other so that nothing gets lost in the time that we're doing this study.
Okay, and then I have some questions, not for Chief. I'm sure it's probably for Bob. So do we ask those now or do we wait?
Excuse me. Now is good.
Okay. Well, they're going to pay us $75,000. Have we looked in what it's going to cost us to do this study?
We've had a very general conversation, and all of the understanding is what study we do will not exceed the 75,000. So I'm quite comfortable that it will be under the 75.
Okay. And then one other thing, when Lake Dallas had their meeting, their council was very adamant that Chief goes to at least one council meeting a month over there. And I know we discussed this last time, but I feel like we're putting a lot of extra work on the chief, and that out of the 75,000, there needs to be some type of compensation for what we're doing, whether it's in a bonus form or however we want to do it. But there's a lot being requested of him from what I heard at the Lake Dallas meeting, and I think that's something that we need to consider.
Okay, yeah, and I wouldn't want to respond to that right now. But let me take that into consideration and also have some further discussions, partly with Mike. And of course, they've hired a new manager. She'll start there September 1st. I'd like to have some conversations there as well.
Okay, I didn't know if now is the time to ask that or not, so just correct me. But I do really think that's something because, they're going to put a lot more demands on him than it sounded like in the very beginning of this.
Okay, no, and thank you for the comments like that. And Mike and I have been talking at length about that. So.
Are there any other questions from council? If not, I'd entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agreement with Lake Dallas for police services and authorizing the city manager to execute said agreement.
Second.
Any further discussion? Cast your vote. It's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Chief, for your presentation.
Mayor, Council.
Okay, item number 7, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Corinth, Texas, amending Chapter 33, Boards, Commissions, and Departments of the Title III and Administration of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Corinth by amending Section 33.03, Term of Offices, to provide for an amendment related to the membership of the Keep Corinth Beautiful Commission, providing for the incorporation of premises, providing a cumulative repealer clause, providing severability, and providing an effective date. Mr. Hart.
Yes, Mayor and Council, this item actually originated at the request of the KCB Board to expand their membership from 7 to 9 members. And what they're really seeking is some more workers, some volunteers within the context of the board, but also working with volunteers as well. So this is brought to you in that spirit is just to simply expand their board from 7 to 9 members.
Are there any questions from council? Okay, entertain a motion on that item.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance number 21-08-05-21, amending Chapter 33, Boards and Commissions, Section 33.03, Term of Office, increasing the number of members from 7 to 9.
Second?
Any further discussion? Cast your vote. It's unanimous. Item number 8, consider an act on nomination, appointments, resignations, and removal of board members for the Planning and Development Commission. Mr. Hart.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we're bringing the recommendation to you that you consider the appointment of Billy Roussel from alternate place 1 to a board member in place 3, and then that you appoint Rebecca Rural to alternate place 1.
Are there any questions from council?
Yes, sir. Will this make this board complete now when we do this?
No, we'll still have one vacancy in the alternate 2 position, but you'll be having interviews in September, and I think then you'll have a chance to fill that last slot.
Thank you.
Is there any other further questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion on this item.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we appoint Billy Roussel III as place 3 commissioner and Rebecca Rule to first alternate for the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Cast your vote. It's unanimous. Council comments and future agenda items. The purpose of this section is to allow each council member the opportunity to provide general updates and or comments to fellow council members, the public, and or staff on any issues or future events. Also, in accordance with Section 30.085 of the Code of Ordinances, at this time, any council member may direct that an item be added as a business item to any future agenda. Mr. Burke.
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Garber.
Nothing, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Holsworth.
Nothing, Mayor. Thank you.
Mrs. Henderson.
Nothing, sir.
Mrs. Pickens.
I just want to make a comment to planning and zoning. You know, trees are important to me, and I appreciate y'all's hard work and working with the developers in trying to preserve as many trees as we can, and still, you know, encourage development, but also aesthetically keep some of the trees. So I appreciate y'all's hard work.
Mr. Hart.
Just a few items. The board appreciation dinner is in what will be 3 weeks from tonight. It'll be a Thursday evening, the last Thursday of the month, at Global Spheres, and so I need an RSVP from you on coming. They really have a nice event coming up. They're going to it'll be a Hawaiian luau kind of theme, and so they are really working hard to make this thing quite fascinating, and they're doing it for the community. They're doing it complimentary, and it's really going to be a neat event. So I'd like for you to look at that, and there'll be they're going to actually start doing the preparing the meal and all that stuff around 5:15 that evening. So it'll be a real early. You don't have to get there that early, but I think it's going to be fascinating to see some of that. The TML conference is coming up October 6th to the 8th, and I want to find out if anyone's interested in going to that. It's in Houston this year on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That at the beginning of October or near the beginning of October. So let me know on that. And then the committee appointments are opening up for the National League of Cities. So if you're interested in serving on one of their policy committees, I'd like to just work with you to get an application in and submitted. In addition to submitting the application, we also have to get a letter of support from the Texas Municipal League, and so I kind of help walk you through the nuances. I mean, I think you would enjoy some of the exposure on that if you want to do that. And then we also had a text from Amanda a while ago, and she wanted to apologize. She had intended to thank all of y'all for the support for KCB and the time that y'all have been out there as volunteers. So Kelly and Tina and Mayor in particular. And she's sorry that she didn't say that a moment ago. So.
She's forgiven. Okay. All right. Anything else? We're adjourned.